So yeah, if you guys want to, like I said, if you want to get closer, I talk pretty loud, so where you're at's fine. And this way I have to talk loud so the camera can pick me up and all the lovely people on the internet and on Facebook can hear what we're talking about. Just to start off, thank you guys for coming out. I know it probably seems maybe a little silly to go to a town hall meeting about a gym in the middle of the week, but our goal with this and kind of the reason that we want to start doing this is that one of the things that we found out, the challenge this year and just kind of in general is that the more that we can kind of like sit down and get face to face and communicate with one another, the better things seem to be. And so we want you guys to really understand a little bit better and have a kind of deeper awareness of why you're doing the things that you do in here, and why we do the things that we do. And we want to just open up a line of communication and just a forum for everyone to ask questions, to make suggestions, to give feedback, and just have a good, healthy discussion about the day-to-day here in the gym. So that's kind of the basis for why we're all here tonight. And again, thank you guys for coming out. Basically how I want this to flow is hopefully people will have some questions and we can kind of dovetail off of those, but I do have some specific things that I'll just kind of go over, some simple things that some of the different things that you've probably noticed over the past couple of months that have been improvements or just little changes that we've made here and there at the gym, and then hopefully that'll spark some good conversation, and then we can kind of move on from there. So first thing that I'm just going to lead off with, well, before I do that, does anybody have any questions to start with or about what we're doing over here? No? Good? Okay, cool. So the equipment, right? So we've spent about the last week and a half totally destroying our small gym and putting up a bunch of new equipment and kind of doing a big remodel over there. Kind of our goal with that is that we want to create a room and a facility that allows for more specialization. So it gives us more options in terms of what we can do with our strength programs. It gives us more options in terms of what we can do space-wise in there. Although there's more equipment in there, the organization and the structure of everything is going to be much more refined. So especially like with some of our people that are taking advantage of open gym or doing specialty classes and doing the programs in the open gyms, sports performance, things like that. We're trying to streamline that process a little bit so there's not this constant clash between the group classes and the people that are doing those things kind of on their own in here. And once we get everything finished up in there, we're hoping to have a really nice kind of system for running people through the open gym situation and then getting people into that strength room and being able to put a lot of people. If you look at it from the standpoint of how many people we can basically work through there, both of those, every one of those stations is perfectly equipped to handle about 6 people, and that's kind of on the top end. But at the very least, at least 4 people. So if you think about that, we've got 5 stations and 4 people on each station. So we can easily handle about 20 people through those 5 stations in there. Because you've got the back end and you've got the front end platform as well. Whereas before we really only had the capacity just with the kind of the open flow of the small gym to handle about 10 to 15 people in there. So again, hopefully what we want to do, and as we get everything finished up, we're going to add another quarter rack on the other side. We're going to change the way that the weights are. We've had some feedback on that the weights are hard to get to. So we're going to kind of we're not done, with the remodeling or whatever. So we're going to add some little better flow to getting and grabbing the weights and how those are organized and where those at. Also, it allows us to be a little bit safer. I know most of us all here are pretty adept at being able to bail out of the back squat or something like that. But with the safety bars and the squat racks, it's going to allow us to just make it a little bit safer for everybody. You don't have to, if you don't know how to bail on a back squat, it's okay, because the bars will take care of that for you. There's other aspects of what we can do in terms of our Olympic weightlifting with jerk recoveries and other fun things like that, pulls from the blocks and the risers there. So that's kind of what's going on with that. Does anybody have questions, comments, concerns? Cool. Everybody likes new stuff, right? All right, good. All right. Cool. So the next thing I have on my list is the programming. And so basically what we told everybody is we're going to do just a general overview of the kind of the plan for the programming. Again, before we get started, I would like, if anybody has some just general questions about the day-to-day program, level 2, level 1, level 3, whatever it may be, feel free to shoot those out there. If not, I'll just kind of start rambling away at some of the different goals and direction we're going to have with that. Does anybody have anything that's kind of been on their mind with some of the stuff that we've been doing over the last couple of weeks? Alex?
I mean, just having been here for a few years, it feels a little bit like level 2's got back a little bit, not going as much Metcon or something like that. And I'm sure there's a reason behind that.
Sure.
I was just wondering what.
Yeah, in the sense that it's less like CrossFit oriented.
Right.
Okay. So basically, that's a good question. And so over the course of the last 5 years, we've grown and we've kind of evolved what our programming looks like and what it does. And so kind of what we found is that we base what we're offering to be the most efficient way that we feel like that we can get people into good, safe fitness. And so with that, there are certain aspects of the sport of CrossFit that, for me, that the risk-reward ratio to it isn't something that I really think is worth it for the general population of people that are doing
I'm on that side.
Yeah.
League, so.
Yeah, absolutely. So we have gone to a more, I guess, structured plan of programming where we try to have specific focuses for specific times and try to take some of these things that we want to develop and find ways that we can develop them and get the same benefits, but do it in a little bit of a safer manner than you might find on CrossFit.com or on CrossFit XYZ that just opened up down the street. So that's kind of the basic. When we talk specifically about going from like a traditional CrossFit setting to what we do. Now, with that, everything that we do is, and really everything in fitness and performance is derived by the same principles. And so we apply, kind of proven principles through years and years and years and years to what we're doing, and we adapt that to some of these more CrossFit specific elements of what we do, if that makes sense. Cool. Yeah, so with that, I think one of the things that's been a relatively new thing that we've started over the last, I would say about 6 months, is having a little bit more defined block of training. So what we've gone is, just in a general sense, we said, okay, well, X amount of time, and that's usually about 2 to 3 weeks. This is our strength focus, okay, and then X amount of time. And again, we've played around with the lengths of the blocks to kind of balance, to balance giving everybody a long enough time to development without getting too stagnant. Okay, and then we've gone to a test week and then a deload week. So when we look at the cycle of training that we do, it's going to cover about 6 to 8 weeks, and within these different blocks of training, we have you know, we even break it down further into there's a little bit more skill focus on certain elements where we'll take a certain lift, or we'll take a certain gymnastics movement, or we'll take a certain you know, monostructural movement like a row or a run, and we'll spend a little bit more time developing those things. Because what we've seen over time is for the folks that are in this this general fitness, that they generally need more time than just touching on things, you know, every 2 to 3 weeks to really develop and get better at those things. And so we try to balance that with keeping it fresh and keeping people motivated and going. So when we talk about the strength focus, you know, we've got basically 2 elements of that. So you'll see like right now in our cycle, Mondays are more of a speed focus, and that's going to be more of your Olympic type lifts, and then Thursdays are more of a just kind of what I call like a raw strength or an absolute strength, and that's going to be your squats, your deadlifts, things like that. And so when we look at that, we are not completely saying, okay, all we're going to do is strength work 5 days a week. We're saying within the context of the block of training, my strength is going to be up here. So maybe my strength is up here, right? And then my anaerobic capacity is here, and then my aerobic capacity work is here. When we go to our work capacity block, we're maintaining a little bit more of our strength. We're upping some of these things over here. We're focusing more in those areas. If that makes sense to everybody. Does that make sense? Yeah? So anyways, so that's kind of the basic. When we look at an overall plan, you know, what we do, what Aaron and I do as when we design the programs is we take those 8 weeks and we outline it on paper, and we decide, okay, Monday's going to be this, Tuesday's going to be this, Thursday's going to be this focus, and Friday and Saturday, and then we map the progressions out from there for the block or the sub or kind of the micro block there, and then we move on to the next one and do the same kind of thing. Okay. So what we've kind of settled in on is kind of this 8-week cycle. Okay, where we have like I said, we're doing 3 weeks of the strength-based focus, 3 weeks of more work capacity. We've got a week of testing. So our testing week is going to be you know, the knockdown, dirty, open style, you know, CrossFit workouts, and then it's also going to encompass things like grabbing 1-rep maxes, grabbing time trials on runs, rows, things like that, and then coming out for that, we give you guys a deload, and the deload is actually is evolved a little bit too. With this next cycle, as we come out of the deload, we're even going to spend some time during that week where we're going to just do a whole class of stretching and mobility. We're going to do a whole day where instead of when you come to class, we're going to have a nutrition lecture the whole time, right? And so we're going to cover some of these things that have a lot of effect on what happens with the nuts and bolts of the training. So we have a true deload, and we're actually getting some rest. Generally what we have is this wave with people where when we first start, we have to really push hard to get them to come in here and work and really get after it. And once they get past that, right, then we have to take them and say, all right, now we're going this way, but let's, you know, we can't go this way forever, right? So we have to kind of rein things back a little bit and teach you how to rest and teach you how to recover, because that's it. Once you've gotten to that point where you've been doing this for 3-6 months, and that becomes a bigger piece of it as the actual physical training here in the gym. Okay, does that make sense to everybody? Test week.
Where are we at right now on the cycle?
Good question. So we are in week 5, 6. I just
think we're in 6.
we're in 6. I just finished all the rest of the cycle today, so my brain is totally scrambled. So yeah, so we're on the very front end of that work capacity half of the cycle. So we'll have we'll have this week, next week, and the next week that we'll be progressing up with more anaerobic type stuff, more aerobic type stuff. We're going to have our 2 days of strength, and it's going to be more maintenance type stuff, less volume, more lower volume, higher intensity on the weight stuff, and then we'll have our test week 3 weeks from now. Is that right, Tristy?
I really don't know. I'll have to look at the program.
Is there any way that you guys have interest in post like on Monday, like this is week 1 of strength or something like that?
Yeah.
Just to,
That would help us tremendously.
Yeah.
I mean, just for us, so we know what
Yeah, absolutely.
we're doing for that week or something.
No doubt. Cool. Anything else?
Oh, we're in week 4.
We're in week 4.
Yeah.
So this week it was the first week of work capacity.
Yeah.
So we'll have the next week and the next week, then we'll test, and then we'll deload after that. Because yeah, the next town hall is going to be during the deload week. Cool. Anybody else? Questions?
So it's made not to miss at all. Right?
What?
It's made not to miss at all.
Made not to miss at all.
Yes.
From the cycle, yeah, you can't even miss any.
Yes and no. I think that one thing that you can do is you can look at it. So we do. So one thing that we've started doing this particular cycle that you guys probably have noticed is that we've added that skill day on Wednesdays, and that's kind of a built-in recovery day for you guys. So if you are coming in, 5 times a week, you have that day to take a step back. Right? We're not, from a physical standpoint, we're not beating ourselves up, but then still from like a motor control and a kind of a psychological standpoint and all that, you're still able to develop and continue to get better without taking the full day off. But that being said, there's definitely going to be times when you're going to, when you get to a certain point, it's good to kind of understand what your needs are and what your goals are, and hopefully, and it's not perfect in the group programming, but so hopefully if you can make the adjustments and say, hey, this is what I'm focusing on, and again, we can do a better job of kind of posting that stuff up on here of what the focus is, and we're kind of in the process of doing that. I say, okay, well, I know today is an aerobic-based workout, and my goal is to, that's not a good example. So I know that my goal, so I know that today is like a really heavy, hard lactic-based or like anaerobic like sprint, and I know that I'm about to run like a 10K or something like that. Then I know that I can say, all right, well, maybe today's a good day for me to take a break. Or if I'm doing the same kind of thing, maybe I'm doing, I've got a big race, or maybe I got a big, meet on Saturday, and we're doing, 20-minute beat-down CrossFit workout, So kind of understanding those things where we say, okay, well, this is maybe a good time for me to take a break, or this is something that I need to just kind of hammer back on a little bit. And so, again, like I said, it's not perfect in the group programming because it's not necessarily tailored for your goals. It's tailored for the group has to adapt to the program as opposed to being able to adjust the program around the people that are actually doing it. Cool. Anybody else? Cool. Alrighty. It's a lot more fun when you guys talk to me too, guys. No. So the next thing that I have on my list is our tiered class system. And generally we get a little bit more questions about this from people first coming in as opposed to people that are here. The one question that we do get a lot is basically the transition points from level 1 to level 2, level 2 to level 3. And so we'll kind of talk about that a little bit, but before we do, I just want to kind of give you the why behind why we do what we do with that, and why we don't just throw everybody in here and say, here's your barbell, good luck, we want to get out of, our fitness, this kind of physical performance is that we see defined levels or pieces where people stand in terms of their fitness and their ability to do the things that we ask them to in here. That's probably a better way to put it. And so what basically we want to see is when you first come in and you first start at CrossFit Austin, or really when you're first starting doing anything, whether it be playing the clarinet or doing a muscle up, you want to have some kind of competency. And until we're competent in what we're doing, then if you're never competent in what you're doing, then you're never gonna progress, or you're going to progress to a certain point and then plateau and regress. Okay. So when we look at the baseline level 1 class, competency is the primary thing that we're trying to get across there. And that's why I tell everybody that I do intros with or assessments, and I say, hey, level 1 is about learning and teaching. It's about teaching for us. It's about learning for you, because we want you to be safe. We want you to be able we want to set you up for success down the road, basically. Okay. And so when we talk about teaching, if you've never done a snatch before, I have to teach you how to do a snatch before I can just give you a barbell and say, go do it. Could I do that? Could I say, just grab that barbell and get after it? Yeah, sure I could. And, we could have disgusting YouTube videos and things like that of, people doing stuff that's not right and it's not safe. So, our main goal is competency and setting kind of a foundation, right? And so, to use the old cliche, you don't want to, you have to build the house on a strong foundation, right? If you've got a weak foundation, then it's eventually going to crash and burn, okay? And that goes for anything. So if we don't understand the fundamentals, if we don't understand, what we're doing, if we don't have a grasp of just these basic things that we ask everybody to do on a daily basis, then your ceiling is very low, okay? So from there, and so that's kind of basically what our goal is with our level 1, is to create just a base fundamental knowledge of what they're doing, and just like an awareness piece where people understand what's going on, what they're doing, what the movements are, how to do them safely. We understand that they're not going to be perfect, and it's going to take time to perfect these things, but we have to make sure that you at least have some competency there, okay? And then as we move up, our goal is, and so I think the old CrossFit saying was like efficiency. I believe that was what it was. Efficiency, consistency, intensity. Is that right? Does that sound right to somebody?
It was efficiency, consistency, intensity.
Perfect. All right. And so here we're trying to make people somewhat efficient. What we've learned is that everybody's a little bit different in terms of what their learning curve is. So efficiency for some comes a lot quicker than efficiency for others. But competency, that's something that everybody can get a grasp of. Okay. Then from there, our level 2 group is basically we're just worried about fitness, right? We're worried about general fitness and getting you to a place. 99% of people that come in here and tell us, and we always ask everybody what their goal is. Everybody's goal is to, well, not everybody's, but the general consensus is that people just generally want to look better, feel better, and be more capable from a physical standpoint. Okay, and that's kind of what our definition of fitness is be healthy, right? Do these things, be happy, that kind of stuff. And so our goal is to take this competency, use these things that we've learned, and create this idea of fitness around that. Okay, and with that, that's part of that is performance, right? And so we use the whiteboard, the website, all that thing to consistently keep people motivated, and keep things fun and interesting. Okay, so we're trying to create some performance with everybody. Okay, and that can be anything that you want it to be. Okay, So everybody that's in this is the biggest swath of people that are members here, and so everybody's goals are different. Everybody's goals evolve, and everybody's are a little bit different. And so we want you to be able to move. We want you to be able to we want you to be healthy. We want you to be able to play with your kids, be able to run for the bus. We want you to be able to do all these things that just generally be better and more prepared for life from a physical standpoint, if that makes sense. And then as we progress on, the next step of that really is, for us, it's specialization. Because once you get past this general fitness, the only thing left to do is to specialize. And so we have this, our level 3, and all that really is a specialization in the sport of CrossFit. So the demands of the sport of CrossFit are not necessarily the same things that the fundamental values of the training program of CrossFit is based on, right? So we've gone through now 5 seasons of the CrossFit Games, and so we have an idea of what the demands of the sport are now, to an extent. And so that's really all that this level 3 group is people that say, okay, I understand that my goal now is to train specifically for the CrossFit Games or the CrossFit competition, whatever that may or may not be. Okay, is that for everybody? No, it's not, and it's okay. That's okay. We have other ways of specializing, and ultimately, I'd like there to be multiple avenues of specialization for people for competition and things like that, because it's healthy and it's a good outlet for everyone. So, like Liz, her specialization is she's an Olympic weightlifter, right? So she has her program and her things that she does with Chad that she specializes in. That's gone beyond. She's gone through this phase of the competency and the fitness and the performance and all that, and she's realized what. But what motivates you and what makes you want to get up in the morning and do the things that you do, right? And so what makes you want to, snatch and clean and jerk for 2 hours on a Saturday, That's not necessarily something that everybody would feel fun as an enjoyable thing. So that's something to think about as you progress and as we go through this. As we go through, especially those of you guys that are in the level 2 and stuff like that, for some, the ultimate goal, it may just be to be able to catch the bus and to, play with our kids and to feel good and to be happy and be able to do the things, to be able to go on vacation and take a hike up a mountain and not be winded and to do these different things, to be able to come in and do the open and have fun with it and things like that, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with just general fitness. That's 99% of people's goal when they walk through the doors. So, but if there is a specialization that you say, hey, this is something that I want to dedicate my time and invest myself in, then there's avenues for that. Does that make sense to everybody? Cool. Questions? Comments? Concerns? All right, cool.
There's the one thing with the fitness is that some of us might not become specialization in certain areas, but sometimes there's events that are very focused towards the higher levels.
Uh-huh.
So you at a lower level, like just maybe something to think of, we're going to get to a point where we might have within level 2 a level B, a A, and a B, meaning that your B group that really doesn't want to push on to the specialism might need something to push as a goal, or like for example, like the open, you're doing it, but you're not going to the open, but you're doing it. But it would be nice, like maybe within, in the club, our non-specialist people or something, we're gonna rank you guys, and then a specialist, it's always, we're gonna push ourselves to go higher, but sometimes it's nice to have that achievement that people are at the bottom to be like, okay. So like when I was in fencing, they have 3 different levels of fencing: Division 1, Division 2, and Division 3. 3 was the lowest level. And to be first place in Division 3 is like, woo.
Yeah.
And then okay, now you're advanced out. You can't do that. You have to do the other divisions. So it just kind of makes your day.
I think I'm understanding what you're saying. Yeah. And so I understand that, and I would say specific to something like that, that I would encourage you to pick out like small goals or specific goals for yourself, and dedicate dedicate yourself to those goals, right? So it may be that we do like the Open's like a big fun gym event, right? And so like for you, like it may be like, hey, I want to take, like I'm going to challenge myself to do X amount more or closer to like an RX weight or whatever it may be, and create some goals and some things to train for you, and then work from there. Go ahead, Tristy.
Well, I think this is along the same lines of what we were talking about earlier about test week and then spreadsheet.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So I think that's what she's actually asking and what would be.
Am I on the right track there?
Well, kind of, yes, it's both test week, but also like sometimes when we have challenge or that, you can maybe discourage other people because like I know I'm not gonna go, Alex, I'm not gonna, if you do a competition and me and Alex in the competition, okay, who's gonna win? I'm like, well, I'm not, if it was point wise, I'm not gonna get close to her point.
Sure.
But sometimes maybe lower level fitness people need a little bit of a goal in our little group to be like, okay, and then it's kind of like you're saying about the platform in terms of feeling the confidence. And so if I have the confidence knowing, wow, I'm really good at I can make it the jump to the next level, or keep jumping. Does that make sense in terms?
Yeah, it does.
It's just like I sometimes feel, and I think some people, it's like it's great for the league guys, and we want to achieve. I'm sure you saw I was here for 3 hours cheering everybody on.
Yeah.
But I think even the lower people also need that encouragement so that we can get up to that top. So
I sorry.
I was at the very bottom level of CrossFit here for 2 years before I figured out that lifting was far better suited for me. But we had accountability partners. Tristy and I would be accountability partners within our own group, and we would set our own goals and we would write them down and say, this is my goal for this 2 weeks. I want to do 15 unbroken wall balls at a certain weight. I want to do this. Now, granted, it's not like a whole gym thing, but we make a big deal out of making our goals. And it was the women's group. We used to do ladies' night, and then we would each find an accountability partner. We'd write it down. We'd say, my goal is to do 5 kipping pull-ups this week, unbroken. Didn't get it this week? That's okay. How many did you get? 3? So you better damn believe that the next week we're standing underneath that bar waiting for you to get your 5 kipping pull-ups. And it doesn't have to be game stuff, because I can't compete. I can't compete with probably 7/8 of the girls in this gym. But I still have that competitive drive. I want to win. That's why I don't CrossFit, because I like to win. I can win with weightlifting stuff. I can't win CrossFit stuff. So, but yeah, I mean, find an accountability partner. I don't know you, but I'll be happy to be your accountability partner.
Oh no, I have in terms. I'm working on goals and all that. I just think that I'm just making it general in terms of
right. But put it on the board.
Yeah.
I mean, we celebrate first kicking pull-ups like you wouldn't believe. I mean, drinks and.
One thing that we had just discussed today of like having kind of like an in-house open, like a CrossFit Austin open on a much smaller scale, in the sense that like on our test week we use all the tests, and I don't know if you saw the spreadsheet that we linked to on the website that had like all of our rankings for the open, like our individual people who participated. So what we'll do on test weeks is make a spreadsheet the same way that kind of ranks everybody, and you can see just within our gym, within the test that we're doing here, how you're ranking, and then after 8 weeks we do it again, you'll see the spreadsheet again and see kind of how you're ranking. Similar if you did the challenge, how we did the test before and after, it'll be similar to that. So that'll be a start to kind of showing, okay, am I improving? Am I getting better than X, Y, or Z person? Am I making improvements just for myself? But it'll give you a little bit of a gauge every 8 weeks to kind of check in with yourself and see what's going on, until we can do something more along the lines of having, okay, within that spreadsheet, maybe we could have like different levels of people, not just like level 1, level 2, level 3, but some different subgroups in there.
Yeah, I think
it's just a future.
Yeah, and honestly, so just kind of dovetailing from that, like so one of the big things too that we're going to move away from is actually calling things level 1, level 2, level 3. I think that, or I don't think, I know that people, that it's easy to get caught up in the label of those things, and it's not about that. Like at the end of the day, none of it's about that. Like your identity shouldn't be caught up in whether you're level 1, you're level 2, you're level 3, right? So we take we take that to be a description of worth, or the things that like of our value, and it's not about that. It's about where you're at in your journey. And so we've all been at those different levels, and we've all gone through the different things. And so the important thing is that really the process of it all. And I've actually talked to a lot of these guys the other day about understanding and really taking the training process and owning that and making that something that you really love. Because the people that have success, it's never about the exterior and the things that it's not really about the accomplishments. In the beginning, that helps, and that getting some wins and doing that things, those are great, and those are great motivators to keep you on the road. But for this to be sustainable over the long haul, you have to fall in love with the training process and the things that you're doing, right? And the day-to-day, and kind of relish in the journey, and be less invested in the results, but more invested in, hey, I'm doing this for myself. I'm doing this to better myself, and I'm always going to be doing this to better myself because I take pride in that, right? And so that's the, for me at the end of the day, I don't care if people are level 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 0, 6.2, whatever, right? That I want everyone to grab a hold of something and grab a hold of this training process, whether it might be Olympic weightlifting for Liz, it might be the sport of CrossFit for Miguel, it might be rowing for you, Eileen, and the sport of, you love rowing though, and there's nothing wrong with that. And so
500 meter.
yeah, and so there we go.
I'm not seeing a 500 2K up there. What's up with
Yeah.
this? I think you'd be up there.
So finding that process and finding that pride in the process and the journey is really ultimately what it's about. Cool.
Wes?
Yeah.
And I agree with you on that as
Yeah.
well, but I kind of see where she's coming from a little bit with previously, past like 6 months or a year. Before that, you'd see your name on the board, or you see other people's names on the board, their scores, and you could kind of compare yourself to their score.
Mm-hmm.
Where lately, you don't really see that as much. You just see someone's name and they participated in that game.
Yeah.
And I feel like seeing that number on there and kind of comparing yourself. I know you're coming here. My goal is to get fit, just like you said.
Yeah.
Like 95% of the people, but at the same time, I have that competitive spirit, so I like
Sure.
to see myself where I'm at compared to everybody else.
Sure.
And that kind of drives me as well.
Yeah.
So when I kind of see where that competitive thing's kind of gone away a little bit, I feel like just a little bit here, just
In the middle group there.
right, just
Yeah.
because you don't really see, where you're really at with everybody else in level 2, really.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, like, also seeing everybody's scores, you can be like, holy crap, dude, you fucking hit 200.
Yeah.
That's awesome, Or,
Yeah.
It seems lately you don't really see that as much.
Gotcha.
Because we're not really, we don't track scores, we don't really see what everybody else did, it's more like, oh, you came and you did the workout.
Yeah.
Type of thing.
Yeah. So, part of that is, so
That's
first.
been a deliberate decision we've made.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Why?
Part of that is that we want to create a kind of an egoless environment in terms of the training, so what we've seen in the past is that that it has been actually kind of opposite of that for some people, where it's detrimental, and hopefully I feel like we still do that, we still put it up, and it's just not every single day. It's the difference, what I'd like to see is the test weeks and things like that, for that to be like the focus of that week, and so that's where, like Trissy was talking about, when we kind of like we got some feedback that they enjoyed the open in terms of the rates, and so I think I understand what you're saying, Alex, and I think you're right in terms of that it does drive people. I think that the quantity of that what we've kind of decided is that we want that piece of it, but we don't want that to be every day. Basically, for me, it comes down to the difference between, game day and practicing and training, right? And so there's certain times during the month or the cycle or whatever, we very much want you in training mode, and then there's other times that we want you to be in that like competitive mode. Let's do this, and like we want this test week to be something that like we want you to be itching for that. Like I want people to say, oh man, I can't wait to get to test week because I'm just itching for that competition, as opposed to when we do that every single day, that just wears me down. Does that?
If I can add a little bit to that, also like with the type of programming that we're doing here, like energy system training, we have goals of what we need from you guys in that day, as far as your effort that you're putting forth, the weight you're using and things. And we found that when we were putting like a workout on the board with RX next to it, everybody wanted to go RX, even if it took them 12 minutes to do Fran and we wanted them to do it in 3 minutes, they wouldn't reduce the weight. And that wasn't our goal for that workout. Like there's definitely specific time frames and different goals that we have for certain workouts. And a lot of times when we were putting those numbers on the board and putting like RX workouts and stuff on the board, people weren't concerned with what our goals were. They were concerned with doing the RX weight, and even they weren't concerned with their quality of movement. They were just concerned with beating the guy who they're looking at on the board or the guy next to them. So we're trying to get from you guys like more of what we're looking for, and trying to get that from you without necessarily having to cut down any egos by saying, okay, Alex, you need to take some weight off the bar, so it's just, or you need to go a little bit slower or something like that. It just is a way for us to have a little bit more control over the output that you guys are giving us, so that it fits into the goals of what we're trying to program, if that is a little bit easy to understand.
Yeah. Does that kind of answer? Yeah. But I do know that I do understand where you're coming from on that, and I do think that hopefully that we're having, we still want that on. We want to touch on that enough on a weekly basis that you still feel like you're getting that kind of spark of the competitive piece of it. But to Tristy's point as well, there's going to be, as we've evolved our knowledge and the way that we do things, there's times when we don't want you trying to beat the guy next to you. There's times when we want you training specific things that it's not advantageous for you to go as fast as you can. And there's times that when we're trying to create more motor development that we don't want you going ahead as possible. And so when we have those days, those are the days that we want to create an environment that's conducive to that goal. Now, when we do want you to go and go as hard as you can and beat the guy next to you, we're gonna try to create an environment in the gym that is conducive to that as well. And that's where we're getting people jacked up, we're putting stuff on the board, we're getting fired up and doing that kind of stuff. Does that make sense?
And also in level 2, like a lot of our programming is about sustainability and about you guys who are in level 2 being able to be healthy for the rest of your life and not just right now, but like when you're 70, 80, still being healthy and still being able to do things. So a lot of times if you come in here and you're just going 100%, and even if you come in, you're like, oh, I know I'm not supposed to go 100% today, but you see that Joe Blow on the board did a time that was like a certain time, and you're like, somewhere in you've got to beat that time. And so you're not giving what we need that day. And so if you're going at that rate every day all the time, it's just not sustainable. And sustainability is a big part of what we're trying to accomplish. We want people to be healthy for the long term, not just for right now and be good right now.
And short term too, that's not just a 50-year down.
Yeah.
That's, a month from now, if you're busting your ass 30 days in a row, you're going to do a lot worse than you would if you're going through a cycle.
Yeah.
And having some practice and some, we're trying to keep a balance between the two. We've definitely taken it back from competing every day to having some practice time and competing in there. And you'll do better in the short term and the long term, but some days you won't necessarily have a specific target of a dude you're trying to beat for his time or something like that. But like I said, they're for reasons.
Go ahead. If I could add to that too. Taking accountability for keeping track of your own weights that you use, like make a note, have a notebook with you whenever you come in. That's how we keep track of what your progress is. So if the board tells you do 80% of your 1 rep max, going off of what, like Tracy said, like what Joe Blow is going off of isn't exactly what you should be going off of. If I try to use JP's weights to measure where I should be at, I'm gonna fail. And I'm not gonna be working that energy group that I should be working. So having a log of what you've done in the past not only helps you to perform for today, but it helps you keep track of the progress that you've made. And that's something that I try to plan, and I know that we all try to plan it, especially with level ones. When you come in here and you run a mile in like 14 minutes, and 2 weeks later or a month later you're running it in 8 minutes, that's a huge accomplishment. It may not be the fastest accomplishment in the gym, but that's a huge accomplishment in your own journey. So encourage everybody to get in open.
Is everybody good on that? I think Dan's camera's running out of memory. I think we said we were going to try to keep this to an hour. A few other things that we have here. So skill classes are starting on Saturdays at 11. Those are going to be included in the membership that you have. So if you have a 3-time a week, 2-time a week, or unlimited, it'll just be a piece of that as opposed to anything additional. Our first class is going to be sprinting with Aaron on the not this Saturday, but the next Saturday. I don't know what the exact date is. 20th. Okay, and so looking at body and foot positioning, sprint-specific drills, forms, understanding like the difference between form with a 40-yard dash and something like a 5K, and some specific running homework to go home with you. Our second skill class is going to be kipping pull-ups with Walker. This one, there is a prerequisite that you need to have one strict pull-up, and there's going to be a prerequisite with Miguel's muscle-ups as well. And basically what we want to, why we're doing that is we want to make sure that you are doing something that you're actually prepared to do. So if you can't meet these these prerequisites, our opinion is that we're just going to set you up for failure basically, and we don't want that. We want you to be prepared. Yeah.
What's the prereq for Nichols?
It's 3 strict pull-ups, 3 chest to bar kipping pull-ups, and 3 dips.
And if you're not there on some of the stuff, let us know and we can give you homework and things to work on. It's not that we want to exclude you from doing it, it's just we want to make sure that you're at that place first. So
Would you
let
be
us know
able
if
to
you're
post
not
that
there yet.
stuff online too?
Yeah.
That'd be good.
Okay. Body positions, the kip swing, different kipping pull-up variations, and then again specific kip pull-up homework for Walker on the pull-up, and then Miguel. Like I said, it's going to be the 3, 3, and 3, 3 strict pull-ups, 3 chest to bar kipping pull-ups, 3 dips. Okay. Again, he's going to go over a lot of body positioning and body tension with different drills. He's going to go over some kip drills that are more specific to the muscle up as opposed to the pull-up. Then he's going to give you a lot of ring drills to go over, talk about grips, talk about the difference between a strict and a kip muscle up, and he's also going to have some homework for people to take away from it.
Are those hour skill classes?
Yes, it'll be set up. The time frame will be exactly like a regular class.
What's the class cap on something like that?
Set at 20.
It's set at 20. Okay. Yeah, we may take that a bit. So, but yeah, probably similar to what the regular class is. Okay. And then we had some emailed in questions. Since you guys are here, well, I guess people on Facebook too, but so one question was CrossFit Total, when are we going to do that again? That will be a part of the test week this cycle, so coming up, so you'll see some familiar stuff on our Thursday strength days in the program coming up, getting y'all ready for CrossFit Total. There was a question about somebody mentioned that they really enjoyed the Open, and kind of like what we were talking about before, and talking about the competitive nature of it and how it kind of held them accountable and kept them going. So with our test week, we're going to try to emulate some of that and have some. We're going to put some kind of like we did with the list, the spreadsheet on the scores and things like that. And and who knows? Maybe we'll do a video announcement or something like that. So.
Live.
We have like
Yeah.
a rave with theme music.
So we all sit there at work trying to ready to get
Yeah.
online to see what our work is for Tuesday.
All the coaches will love it if I did that every single night that week, right? Adrian. Go for it. CrossFit total is press, back squat, and deadlift.
Your 1 rep max.
1 rep maxes. Yeah.
In an hour. 20 minutes for each.
And then there was also a question about a men's basically weight loss, strength and weight loss program. So I don't know, I'm going to put it out there to the group if that sounds like something that would be appealing to them. JP, no, we already talked about that. Yeah. So we haven't actually put anything, or we just got this question in. So is that something the men in the group would be interested in? Yes.
GTL.
I think it needs to be.
Yeah, we did say we could call it tanned and jacked.
Tan and jacked.
Yeah. Or jacked and tan. Jacked and tan.
Jacked and tan.
So yeah, if we do have, if we have if we have some more feedback on something like that, that's definitely something that we can kind of put in the queue to start developing.
Shave each other's backs too in that?
Absolutely.
What was the question on?
Save each other's backs. Hey man, I know nobody's going to be worse than mine. So. But yeah, that is pretty much it, guys. Does anybody have anything else, Adrian?
This is kind of unrelated. I've been hearing a lot about this beyond the whiteboard from friends that I have in the CrossFit community. Is this something that you guys have heard of or are considering?
Yeah, we have, and are we testing that out? Yeah.
I'm working on a project with us, so I'll be flashing that for you guys this way.
Which will be a good way to rank everybody's workout.
So just so you guys, just to kind of cover it a little bit, it allows you to rank yourself or to input all of your information from that day, and it stores it in a database and does a comparison among the gym across the world for like any of the benchmark workouts. So you can see where you're at, not only in the community here, but across.
Does that eliminate your thought earlier about journaling and keeping track of what you're doing? You can go
It's a
on
different
daily and
form.
put your
Yeah,
stuff down.
it's still journaling, but it's on an electronic database.
Cool.
So it's still the same idea. Whether we go that route or we don't go that route, you should still journal
Yeah.
regardless.
And there's an app on
Yeah,
your phone.
there's an
to
app.
do it.
So it's just a matter of if that's going to suit our community or not.
Yeah, and again, thanks everybody for coming out. And the last thing I want to leave everybody with is one of the things that we've kind of experienced in the past is that that if people have things that they have questions about, or maybe they have like issues with, and they don't come to us, then we don't ever really know. So just know that like our doors are always open, even if it's like 5 in the morning and I haven't had my coffee.
Just bring it. I wouldn't recommend.
Yeah, it may not be the best time, but I still will listen. But seriously, in all seriousness, joking aside, like we would much rather people come to us and let us know concerns, give us feedback, ask questions, and basically keep this line of communication open, because everybody's going to be better off for it than if we just get an idea in our head and get upset. So.
Our little boxes back there. If you don't want us to know that it's you giving us feedback, you can always put it in the box anonymously. We read all of those and we take them all very seriously. We can't always make the changes that are asked, but we do take them seriously and had meetings about them and stuff. So feel free to drop notes in the box also.
Yeah, you can ask for it. All right, that's it, guys.
Time to do Fran?
Yeah, absolutely.
Boone said he wants to do it again.